What if I told you when your kid is having huge emotions, the biggest emotions that they experience, that might be yelling at you, screaming at you, spitting, flailing on the ground, crying, whining? What if I told you that those moments are the most influential time that you have to be able to connect with your kids? However, your instinct might be to stop it because it might feel like it is dangerous, which results in you sending your kids to their room, telling them to stop crying, calling them names. You're acting like a brat. What we're going to learn in this episode is 5 steps to become your child's emotion coach. My hope is that you're going to walk away and this is going to change how you see every single meltdown or, yes, just act of defiance from here on out. All humans are born with core developmental needs that need to be met, especially in those first 5 to 6 or 7 years of life. The challenge is if you did not get those core developmental needs met in those really early years, then it can be really hard to meet those needs of your children. And it's also because your parents may not have gotten their needs met and their parents, there may have been generations where they were able to show up and meet the needs. And then somewhere along the line, somewhere along the journey of humanhood and generations raising generations is that these needs got lost because there were parenting experts telling you to do something differently. Now there are parenting experts like me. Well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I'm here to assimilate all this wonderful information from neuroscience and neurobiology. I am here to help us realize that we got some things wrong and now we can get back on the right path. And one of the most important things out of all of those needs for our kids to receive from us is for us to give them emotional support. It's also to help them feel seen and heard and understood, but then also to help them or help teach them how to navigate feelings. As with anything with parenting, it starts with us first. The tool I'm going to teach you today comes from the Gottman Institute. It's called emotion coaching. If you are still yelling and screaming at your kids or losing it or running away, not knowing what to do, and you're really struggling with your own emotions, as you become your child's emotion coach, you can start to come into being able to navigate your own emotions and your own feelings as well. So that's why I think this tool is super important and something you can start using today. You can be your child's emotion coach with these 5 simple steps. Let's break them down. The first step is to become aware of your emotions first. I already said this, and I will dive a little deeper into this. Then step 2 is to remind yourself that emotions are an invitation to connect, not correct in the moment. The correction comes later. Step 3, help your kids name it to tame it. I have a hint here. Naming it also is helping tame the emotion in your body as well. Step 4 is communicate empathy and understanding. And step 5 is set limits and problem solve together. A lot of parents who are shifting into more of a gentle or conscious way of parenting forget that they still need to set limits and problem solve and start to figure out what skill is lagging so they can teach that skill outside of the moment or once all of the emotions have been processed. The Gottman Institute tells us that the biggest predictor of a child's future is the relationship that person has with others. And guess where the relationship starts? With you. You are their first relationship. If you're a dad, if you're a mom, your child is developing a relationship with you and learning relationship skills based on how you treat them. No pressure. Also, I want to note that emotions are not the enemy. They might feel like it in your body, and that might mean you need to do some work in that area. This is the work I do in my Purpose Parent Transformation Program. I help walk parents through, okay, What are you thinking in the moment? You might not realize what you're thinking in the moment, but there's thoughts there that are leading to your emotions, leading to your reactions. And those are all stemming from this core belief system that was typically developed in childhood. I am currently working with a family, coaching them, and it is just amazing to watch the transformation they're having. And not only are they really shifting and enjoying parenting and having a lot more moments where they really like being with their kids, but they also are seeing big shifts in their kids' behaviors as well. And to be honest, one is starting to have some bigger emotions and behaviors because he has been in protection mode. And then the other is starting to calm down much faster because she has been explosive and now she's able to feel safe in her body. What's interesting is we are only in module 5, which modules 3, 4, and 5 are all about understanding the whole child. We dive deep into brain science, and then we move into nervous system, and then we move into attachment. We haven't even gotten into emotion coaching, and what they shared with me, how they were able to show up for their daughter who was having an extreme meltdown, melting on the floor, kicking, screaming, completely feeling like she was out of control, which she had done a lot in the past. The way they were able to show up for her was exactly these steps I'm going to teach you. And they haven't even learned this framework yet. And it's the work. This is the work. Also, it's not just this cut and dry thing. Oh, I do step 1, then I move to step 2. No, it's fluid and it's also nuanced. It's really important that with step 1 that you are aware of your emotions first. And this is the work where they are growing in the most, is because they checked in with each other. Hey, are you feeling calm? Are you feeling like you can handle this? Yes, I do. And it was still hard because her daughter had such big emotions, but the mom was in a regulated state where she could show up for her child, be able to move on to step 2, which is reminding herself that emotions are an invitation to connect. What she said that she's learning and able to apply is the collect, which comes from Gordon Neufeld, connect, then correct. And sometimes the correct might be hours later and it's not in the moment. And so she was able to have enough regulation in her body to be able to be that safe person for her child and then connect. And to be honest, and I've had to do this with my son who has really, really big sensory meltdowns, is sometimes the connection doesn't look like the way we want it to. Not that I've had to force connection, but I've almost had to disrupt this. I don't feel safe. I'm so out of control. And so bear hugging, or what I would do, we don't do it as much, which he would be able to support me probably a little bit better. And we came up with this working with a psychologist, is I was able to, get on his back or be able to hug him in a way that he was able to get the deep pressure that his body his brain needed in that moment. Or the psychologist had me get a football pad. Now, I'm not recommending that you do this for your kid because it's really important that you attune to what their needs are, where their system is, what your system can handle. But where we were in his journey, I would take a football pad and because he needed me, but also I needed to stay physically safe. And so he would push into that pad, or we did these things called pushies, where he would push me down the hallway because he was needing to have some kind of control. My husband was right there. We were doing this in a safe way, but it was helping him move these emotions through his body. And emotions in those moments, the anger, the frustration, the completely losing his mind, not connected to the frontal lobe at all, that was an invitation to connect. Connection looks different depending on, again, what your capacity is and what the kid's capacity is in that moment. Maybe you have a kid who's just whining. That's what big emotions look like for your child. And your child does not have integration challenges like some of the neurodivergent kids that I am working with, and I'm working with their parents because I have a parent-child program that I just started as well, or with what I'm doing with my kid. But maybe it's just the whining or the crying or the whimpering. That is your signal that it's time to connect. I know it might not feel like that's the time you should connect or that you're just giving in. There's a lot of neuroscience that backs this up. And I can tell you that we went from me needing to jump on my kid's back or help him regulate and him completely screaming and yelling and saying not nice things and getting to a place where we might need to bring in reinforcements, but we don't have to because we were able to give him this connection in the moment. And then with teaching him, which we'll get to step 5, and having limits, we've been able to now create neural connections in his brain so that he can regulate on his own. Then step 3 is helping your child name it to tame it. How am I feeling? Am I regulated? Am I calm? Step 2, I'm going to lean into connection. Maybe that's physical connection. Maybe that is just eye contact and looking at your child, whatever that connection looks like. And then we're going to move into naming it. Name the emotion, not the behavior. You're acting like whatever. You're acting a fool. No, instead, we're going to name the emotion. Neuroscience is extremely clear on this. When kids can label their emotions, and you can label your emotions too, the intensity decreases. Try it. Next time this happens, say, hey, I see you're super angry. I see you're super frustrated. Maybe you're feeling frustrated and you're naming it for yourself as well. It can work both ways. The word that I was thinking of is duality. And we want to start with the basics, right? So joy, sadness, anger, fear. And then once you have those nailed down, we can get a little more granular and get a little more specific. And the more specific you can get and build your child's emotional intelligence, build your own emotional intelligence if you did not get these things as a child or even as an adult, then you're going to help tame it. Name it to tame it. And that comes from Dr. Dan Siegel. There's lots of fun ways that you can build this at home. There's lots of fun pausing games you can do, like freeze games and red light games. Those games can really help, and you can incorporate it with emotions, books, shows, watching other people. When we go out to grocery stores and I see a child who is not able to stay calm and is yelling and screaming and crying, sometimes I'll just gently say, oh, do you see that they're really struggling right now? They're feeling angry. They're feeling really sad and disappointed because they can't get that toy that they want on that shelf. And you can use that as learning opportunities outside of the moment to build that vocabulary. In the moment, just stick to the emotions. Then we move on to step 4, and that is communicating empathy and understanding. And we can take it even further. And what I teach in my program is Mindsight, which comes from Dr. Dan Siegel as well, which is a little deeper than empathy, where you're really understanding what is going on for them. And that is what this family that I told you about is experiencing. Before, when their daughter would act like this, they just wanted to stop it. They were labeling it and judging it based on how they were raised. And now they're able to see, oh my gosh, she's really, really having a hard time. She's not just giving us a hard time. She is disconnected from her frontal lobe. She is in her sympathetic state. She needs our bodies to be able to regulate and to be able to connect. Oh my gosh, when we get to that place, it is just so beautiful because that's where we can really start to lean into our relationship. And that is when you're going to start to see shifts because you're going to be able to build emotional safety. You're teaching emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, but there's also this safety component, and that is the brain's job, is to keep us safe. Especially the amygdala, and the amygdala is what is in charge when your child is screaming and flailing and yelling. Step 5 is to set limits and problem solve together. Again, there might be some time before we get to step 5. And in the moment, if your child goes from screaming and yelling, very frustrated, angry, and then you're able to push it into sadness. Gordon Neufeld teaches us the uh, frustration traffic circle. We want to get them through the frustration and push them into, not push them into sadness, but sadness is going to come up. And that's exactly what happened for this little girl. She felt sad. The tears started to come. She was resisting the connection. And as soon as the tears came online or started to come out, she shifted into wanting to be close to her mom. And then her mom was able to feel deeply and show empathy by crying with her and just having this moment. And then the dad was able to join and have this moment as well. That is what emotion coaching does. What they were able to do, and what I've learned over the years of doing this work with my own kids, is that emotion coaching strengthens your relationship. You're breaking these generational patterns of not meeting kids' needs. You're able to meet those core developmental needs, which is going to set them up to be able to have healthy relationships in the future. Again, the goal here is not compliance in the moment. Now, that might be your goal. Compliance is really important to you because that might be the blueprint or the program that was downloaded for you. But really, if we look at it, and now we have so much research to back it up, and we're like, oh my gosh, yes, what were we thinking? We need to meet these core developmental needs. It's not just about compliance. Compliance will come, right? And that's what step 5 is about. Because in order for a child to be compliant, they need to have skills. They are born with all the emotions. That's why emotion coaching is very important. None of the skills. That is our job. Then once we allow the emotions to happen, we allow them to feel, we're naming them, we're building emotional intelligence, then we can get to a place where we can teach. That is through play. Play is the number one way to teach. It creates neural connections faster than anything else in childhood. Or that is reading stories together, which is a form of play, reading stories together, dancing. I would use a lot of stuffed animals. I would basically recreate a situation that was happening. If I wanted to teach a lesson, I would take stuffed animals, recreate what was actually happening with us. And it was incredible how different my kids responded or reacted, especially when my boys were really young. They would go from doing the same thing over and over again. Even if I would get strict, I would take stuff away. I would threaten them. I would use punishments and consequences. We've been talking about that. And they would still keep doing the same thing. Whereas then I would insert story, and then they finally would get it. Made me realize I was speaking the wrong language. And we'll get to play later in the podcast because I love, love, love talking about play and using it as the best tool for discipline. In review, here are the 5 steps to become your child's emotion coach. Step 1, be aware of your emotions first. Step 2, remember that emotions are an invitation to connect, not correct. 3, name the emotions to tame them, not just in your child, but also you might be taming them in yourself as well. Step 4, communicate empathy and understanding. And step 5, set limits, set your boundaries, and problem solve together and figure out what skills they need to learn. I have a setting boundaries with purpose toolkit that I will put in the show notes if you need help with this step. And then also what I'm excited to share with you is if you go to raisingkidswithpurpose.com/emotion-coach, I have a free emotion coach toolkit that has been downloaded thousands of times. It has really helped parents just walk you through these steps because it's one thing to listen to this or even read through the show notes and read them, but then have a poster that you can hang up on your fridge or screenshot it on your phone and put it on your home screen so that you can remember, okay, I forgot this step. Next time I'm going to remember to make sure I get into this step. There's lots of different frameworks that help teach you how to do this. This one is pretty simple, and I like it because it's easy to remember. We go from focusing on ourselves first, then we move to how to problem solve once the child and once you are calm. Here's what I want you to take away from this is the meltdown and emotions are not the enemy. Just like in last episode, in episode 11, I talked about how screens aren't the enemy. There's a lot of things that we feel like are enemies, but they're not. The meltdown is the moment. It is your opportunity to meet your kids' needs, which means it is your opportunity to connect, and it's a window into your kids' inner world. And every time you meet them there, even if you do it imperfectly, this is not clean and cut dry. It is messy. It's emotional. It's called emotion coaching. What you're doing is you're building your child's brain and you're building your relationship and trust, and you're finally breaking the cycle. If you have cycles to break, maybe you don't. Maybe you just needed some reminders on how to connect with your kids and not be afraid of their emotions. This is the work. Now go raise those kids with purpose.